Hello, Naomi. Welcome to the Make Life Rich Movement podcast. Thank you so much for being on.
Hi, so happy to be here.
So, my Richies, this is going to be a little bit different of an episode than we're typically used to. Naomi is the VP of marketing for the Koning Health Company. They have created a really, I'm going to call it a visionary product, even though it's adjacent to something that's existed for a long time. But I felt it really important to highlight the fact that a very large company took and made the decision to change the way that mammograms were done, namely making them way more comfortable for the women that have to do them year after year. And that to me seemed really special and really important. So I wanted to highlight the fact that this product exists first and foremost. And secondly, I was just really excited to get to know the company. And Naomi was so gracious in agreeing to join me on the episode today. So we're going to be learning all about this product. If you are not of the age to where you need it, you know a woman in your life that does, and she can reach out to her doctor's office and request that they look into this type of machine for the future. So we're out here spreading the good word today, especially for women that deserve to not have their breasts squished within an inch of their life to get a picture taken. So,
Yeah.
Naomi, thank you so much for coming on. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, definitely. And I'm happy to talk to all the women out there, everybody that listens to your podcast about this new technology that is so deserved and, like we were saying, better late than never. So hopefully more women around the world can get this exam very soon.
Wow. I remember I was scrolling on Instagram and I just saw a post of a woman laying face down on a table. And I was so confused what was going on. It looked like a medical setting. And I'm like, what is happening here? And the first two lines into the post, I was like, are you kidding? What is this? Is this literally a mammogram happening right before my eyes? And I clicked on your account and went through everything, and I was like, hallelujah, man, makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So, Naomi, could you explain, just give us like a very brief explanation of how the table works and how it's different in just pure functionality of the compression for
Yeah.
now, just to give them a visual.
Definitely. So, Koning sells breast CT devices. So, anyone who's a woman who is over the age of 40 or has a history of breast cancer in their family probably knows that you go in for a mammogram, 20 pounds of pressure compresses your breast. It takes several minutes and just very uncomfortable, not dignified experience. We've heard from women everywhere that they avoid getting their mammograms because of the pain of compression, because of the fear of what they might find. And mammograms really aren't as exact of a science as we would like to hope for, our women's health. So Koning provides the breast CT, like I mentioned. It basically looks like a massage table. You lay flat on it, you stick your breast in the hole, and it takes 360-degree image of the breast in 7 seconds, and then you switch over. Nobody has to touch you. There's the tech is further back, and you're in and you're out, and you get the images right away. And if God forbid anything happens or anything is found, then you can get a biopsy on the same table. Ideally your doctor, and obviously this is based on who your physician is, but ideally your doctor would say, let's do a biopsy right here, right now. And it's a quick process and easy, not scary, not painful, and very precise. So I'm hoping to bring this to more women around the world.
Wow, I have no doubt it will spread like wildfire. And I think for me, it made so much sense I'm sure it's insane medicine, insane tech, insane science that's gone into creating this product. But for me, the fact that first and foremost, the immediate effect on whomever is going to use it is that it's painless and it's effortless.
Yeah.
It's easier than going to like I can't. It's easier than going to the nail salon. Like you're literally in and out in seconds. It probably takes longer to take off your sweater and your shirt to
It
get
actually
into this
does.
apparatus.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love so much that this is something also that's being made in the US. So I think that's really important. And it feels like you guys have honestly scratched the surface on something that can make such a huge impact globally as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So I did read on your website that you are globally um, found, but can you talk a little bit about, I guess let's step it back. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. I'm so excited. So, how did you come to start working with Koning? And did they already have? We'll call it the KBCT. That's the breakdown of it. So we're not continually saying
Sure.
it's a lot of words.
It is.
So, was the KBTC already in motion when you had started working with the company?
Yeah, yeah. So actually, the our founder developed this device 20 years ago at the University of Rochester. So the technology has been a long time coming, truly. And our team is so knowledgeable, so adamant about helping women and getting like our mission is to save women's lives, and this is what we found is the best way to do that. So yes, so we started in University of Rochester. For many years, it was really about just developing the technology and making sure we had it down to the precise science that we wanted it. Obviously, still, iterating on that and making sure we have the best version of the device that we can get out there. But I joined, it's coming on 3 years ago. And at that point, we were, slowly starting to expand. We wanted to get it out to more women around the US. We already do have a footprint around the world. So it was time to bring this to Americans. And what I hear from women every single day in my inbox on social media is that like this is something that they are so excited about, that they definitely want and prefer to mammogram. And that is my goal as a marketer, is to get it out to everybody and make sure that physicians, patients, everybody is aware that this is available.
Oh, man. I would think in your particular position, like I'm geeked out and I'm just interviewing you and I just saw this on Instagram, but
Yeah.
I would imagine that you really do get a rush,
Yeah.
especially in your position, to just
Yeah.
spread the good word, basically.
Yeah.
There's nothing that this, we'll get into a lot more of the really cool and very beneficial characteristics of the machine.
Yeah.
Guys, it provides I guess unless you've had a parent or a relative that for some reason has had to have multiple of these, for you to really understand the invasiveness, the
Yeah.
lack of clarity with the imaging, false reads, false positives. There's just that faultyhood of the machines that we've been forced to use for the last, I guess, what, 80 years,
Yeah.
really does inhibit and prevent a lot of things being found and being treated in a proper manner, which ultimately affects so many people's lives. So, as the child of someone whose parent had cancer, I can't imagine what joy it brings to you to go to work every day and just show people there's a better option, a
Yeah.
clearer option, a less invasive option.
Yeah, yeah. And just as a side note to that, women with dense breasts, mammograms are so ineffective. I think it's up to 70% of cancers are missed in women with dense breasts. And my mom actually has dense breasts, which means that typically you go for your mammogram and then they set you up for either an ultrasound or an MRI soon after that. So the idea with this device is that you don't have to go through these multiple processes. You don't have to feel the anxiety of waiting for your ultrasound or waiting for your MRI. It's like the one-stop shop, really. And and it does feel really good to be able to help women everywhere. So as a woman, I am very happy with what we're doing.
Oh, heck yeah. I'm a crier. You've already got me. But the ease and the joy that this will bring to people to not have to dread for a week up till the day of going to get it done. My mother also has dense breasts, and she's not a complainer too much in the medical department of things. But I do remember having gone with her once, I guess because her breasts are, they're dense. She started very young in life with getting
Yeah.
them scanned.
Yeah.
And I just remember being in the other room and hearing her shouting, like, ow, ow. And I'm like, what's going on in there? Like,
Yeah.
truly concerned. And for that to no longer be a thing, like, you may even enjoy a brief stretching of the back while you lay down and get this
Yeah,
scan
it's take a nap, for a few seconds. It's way different.
a micro nap. So, can we talk about the impetus for the creation of this project? So, the founder, I'm sorry, what's his name?
Dr. Ruola Ning is the
Okay.
founder, yes.
So, what was his thoughts or reasoning in wanting to create this? He saw a market, or did he have a personal tie to this?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So Dr. Ning is from China, and it's known that Asian women have smaller, denser breasts. So he saw this as an opportunity to help women in his community, solve the problem for the dense breasts. Especially when you have smaller breasts, it's going to be even more painful when you're compressing. So, both being able to find more cancers and make it more comfortable, I think was the point of, his purpose for coming up with this design. And it's something that's never been done before. And, in healthcare, it's kind of like, if it works, then don't change it. But, my view on it is it doesn't work, so we should change it. And it's just been done the same way for many, many years. Obviously women haven't had very much input into that. So that's kind of like he saw this opening, he understood the technology and the benefits of it, and that's when he started working on it about 20 years ago.
Man, bless him. Thank you,
Yeah.
doctor. Thank you. So you are currently located in 20 different facilities globally as of 2020, which was a bit of time ago. So I'm
Yeah.
sure you have some more at the moment.
Expanding. Yep.
Awesome. So where and when did you really start to see the machine taking off? Were people instantly receptive? That I'm guessing doctors' offices, medical, I guess we'll call them businesses, but were they instantly like starstruck, like holy crap, we need this? Or did it take a little bit of educating or convincing?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, it's not just like doctors see this and they're automatically in love. I think, like I said, if they're doing something a certain way, it's harder for physicians, I think, to see the benefit of changing to something that they're not used to. Women definitely saw it, fell in love, and were like, I need to bring this to my clinic. And we actually get so many patient advocates. We started a whole campaign about this for women to be able to advocate for their own health. And, that's very powerful. So when you have that many women coming to their physicians being like, I don't want a mammogram anymore, I want this. We've had success in doctors bringing this device to their facility. But from the medical perspective, it's been a little bit more of an uphill battle. Mammograms and big companies are very ingrained in, getting their devices out. There's, not to name names, but there are some really, really big companies out there that are big sellers of mammograms and ultrasounds. And, they have the budget, they have the footprint, they have, the sales company. They have a lot that's basically helping them get their devices out there. And we are a small, scrappy, basically startup that is doing everything we can to maximize our footprint with what we have. So it's been a little bit harder than you would hope for a device that's so revolutionary like this one is. But I think in the past year, at least in my time being with the company, I've seen so much more interest, and it's really like it's exponential. As soon as one hospital gets it, the next is going to want it. Like it kind of just keeps growing like that. And so we're seeing quite a bit of people in our pipeline now, and it's really just about being able to build the devices and deliver them to the clinics that want them. And I'm really excited for the ones that we have coming up and the ones that we installed this year. We've heard so much good stuff. So it's an exciting time to be part of this company. It's an exciting time to be a woman with this revolutionary technology. So good things are coming, I know.
It's so cool. It's getting me again. The I just remember so vividly. I was director of marketing for a pharma company for 3 years, and all of the conferences, just all the events I'd have to go to. There was, and this was, we'll say, almost 5 years ago now. I noticed at the very beginning of my leaving the industry that there was a quotient of companies starting to put more effort into the customer experience as a sales buffer, like something just to give them that extra little nudge to like push them over. That's where I see you really cornering the heck out of the medicinal market just to social media, I think, has just peeled back the layers on how exactly the medical industry works, and that
Yes.
it is very much a numbers game. And there's a lot of control that you, as a client or a patient, can have over those numbers and how they're spent. So I
Yeah.
love that you created that social campaign. That was so smart,
Yeah.
because in the years to come, it's only going to be more of a patient dictated process, although it will remain very archaic for most parts of it. But we do have the power, and campaigns like the one that you put together are so smart, because it really does put the doctor's money where their mouth is. If you want to serve your patients better, if you want to be able to provide them with a better result, a less painful result, and something that could lead them to maybe wanting to come a bit sooner than what's
Yeah.
recommended. You
Yeah.
know, I do notice that a lot of women are really tied down to only being able to get the imaging when it's their designated time because of
Yeah.
insurance. But I would pay out of pocket for this every year if this were something that I could zip in and zip out of. Like, absolutely. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah, and that's actually another thing that we hear often is that women are willing to fly across the country. They're willing to pay out of pocket for this exam because it means that much more to them that they can have a comfortable, dignified experience. And going back to what you said about like the customer experience generally, I think we're lucky as a company in the point of our life that we are able to, promote patient care as a part of what we believe in, and really work with women advocates to be able to bring this to them. Whereas bigger companies, they might say that, but they have multi-million-dollar budgets, and they get celebrities involved, and they have their own tricks, but it doesn't feel as real as like when I'm doing marketing and get to speak to women and get quotes from women and really hear their stories, and some horror stories of like having missed cancers from a mammogram, and like there's so many things like that out there, and it feels so much more real to be able to work for a smaller company that's doing meaningful work. And it might be a little bit harder at first, but I think the impact is going to be a lot greater in the end.
Man, and the fact that you're a startup is so cool, because your hands are only tied to what you as a company have decided is your
Yeah.
mission and are your goals, and that is sick. I
Yes.
I can't imagine, especially for basically being a creator and a doctor at the same time. I imagine he started his career because he wanted to help. And then
Yes.
to be able to add a layer of innovation to that to really solidify, not only can I help, but any doctor that purchases this product can help globally to make a big difference in their patients' lives. That
Yeah.
has to feel amazing.
I'm sure it does. And we see that a lot from, the clinics that are buying our devices now. These are the change makers. These are the, physicians and owners of these hospitals that want to be at the forefront of the newest technology, the best kind of care for their patients. And I love all of them. Like, these are the best in the industry for sure. And I'm excited to keep working with them, and to grow our user base also. So,
Yeah. It's there's definitely a change coming, and I think that heart and dignity and compassion are going to be re-embedded into the foundation of medicine. And medicine is a business. I think
yeah.
it can get a little convoluted when medicine becomes a pure exchange of money for products, but
Yes.
it's it really it makes me feel comfortable and safe that there are going to be a lot more people like everyone working at your company that are going to create things that are only going to help, and maybe have less of a focus on becoming a billion dollar company within your first year,
Yeah.
because you are making an impact, and that means
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Ugh, it's you're just blessed. You're blessed to work with such a cool place. So where in the US is this currently available? The minute that I discovered this product, I was like, where the
Yes.
minute I turned 40, I'm planning a vacation to this place for the
Yeah,
lack of
so
anxiety I'll have getting it done. It's worth it.
definitely. Let me see if I can list them all off the top of my head. So we have one in Norcross, which is where our actual headquarters is. So that's our Koning clinic, cool mobile trailer that actually has been moving around quite a bit recently. So we have one there. I believe we're getting one or two more in the Atlanta, greater Atlanta area as of this year. We have one in Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. We have one in Florida, I believe, and then we have a few research facilities. One is at the University of Rochester, and one is in Tucson, Arizona. So a
Cool.
lot in the southeast, hoping to expand west a lot more. We're working. Oh, we have one in Alabama also. They've been a great partner for us. It's actually a lot bigger of an organization. So they've been very successful with their installation so far, and they're definitely pushing to get it in more locations. So 2024 is going to be big for us and for women.
I love that so much. So let's talk about a doctor's office, one or well, I guess they must be a doctor in order to purchase the product, or they could be a medical facility. And how does that work? Who can
So
purchase, and how do they go about purchasing?
So it really depends, honestly. You'll see in bigger facilities, like bigger hospitals, that we're going to be talking more to like the top admin. So the CEOs, the CFOs, those are the people that are the decision makers, really. For smaller clinics, usually you get a doctor who owns a clinic. And like, for example, in Arkansas, that was the doctor owns the clinic, and he was like, I want to offer this to my patients. This is very new to us, but I know that this will go over well. And he made the decision, he bought it, and it was in like within a few months. So it really depends. It's across the board. But it depends on who has the financial capabilities in the hospital, like whether or not they have bigger, teams that need to be making these decisions. So it's all over the place, but we work with everybody to be able to bring these to them. So willing to talk
Cool.
to whoever is in charge, really.
Super cool. Guys, I'll put a link in the show notes in case you are working at a facility or you are a physician yourself and this is something you're like, gotta have it. We'll leave the link for you to be able to get in touch with someone for that. In terms of, I mean, from a sales perspective, this is a really great position for you to be in and for any physician purchasing this to be in. I have never had the procedure done, a typical mammogram, but I would imagine that I would be very willing to pay a little more to get this done. And not only that, I would probably tell my doctor like, "Hey, I won't be seeing you for this anymore. I'm going across town to this
Yeah.
place where I literally just lay down on a table."
Yeah, yeah,
So,
definitely. And I will say, like, there is the out-of-pocket aspect, but we are also accepted by many major payers, insurance companies. So, ideally, a woman wouldn't have to pay out of pocket, but this is in the industry considered more of an experimental technology, in which case sometimes that might be the case. It's really up to the clinic and how they work with their payers to see if we can, make sure that the woman doesn't have to pay for this exam. And, ideally, in the very near future, that won't have to be the case at all. So,
yeah. And I totally understand and appreciate that aspect because there are a lot of people that cannot afford any kind of medical care, let alone special standoff medical care. Um, Thinking and speaking from the perspective of a longevity aspect, maybe someone that does really boutique their medical care and they
yeah.
are working with these longevity health clinics where they're getting their heart and scans and brains and the whole nine done. I can see this being something that a woman would be very happy to add to that longevity aspect.
Yeah.
Is it safe to be doing once a year? I understand it has the same amount of radiation as a typical mammogram, but
Yes.
is it okay to have this done once a year?
Absolutely, absolutely, and it
Cool.
should. And we don't want to make women not get their exams. That's not the point of what we're doing. Like where sometimes people get confused with some of our messaging, saying like you're telling people not to get mammograms, and that's not the case, really.
Hmm.
Women should get checked every single year. It is part of a holistic women's health routine.
Hmm.
The only difference is, first of all, the radiation dose, like you said, is the same as a mammogram. And we just want to make sure that the experience is more comfortable. So we're not telling anybody not to get checked. That's not the point. But eventually, when this is out in more locations, then yeah, tell your doctor that you prefer this and you're not
Yeah.
going to get a mammogram, So just to clarify some of the
Yeah.
messaging out there.
So let's get down to the nitty gritty of how it differs, how the KBCT differs from a typical mammogram.
Yes.
From my perspective, just what I basically saw, it seems like the biggest difference is the squish. There's no squish.
No squish.
And you are providing a true 3D image. And
Yes.
I'll let you break it all down from there because it's important to know this, guys, because this is another reason why it is important if you have the means and you're able to, and definitely in the future when this is hopefully at a local doctor's office near you, that you would make this choice
Yes.
just for the safety and the satisfaction of knowing what is actually being seen.
Yeah, yeah. So again, for the sake of women, what they care about most is that there's no compression. So that is the biggest differentiator for us. You lay down 7 seconds, so it's a quicker exam also. For physicians, it's actually a much clearer image than what you get in a mammogram. It's 360 degrees, so I'm not sure if you saw our animation on our website, but the woman lays down. You can kind of see inside the device, not while it's actually happening, but on our animation you can. And it just takes an image completely around the breast. Whereas in a mammogram, and some companies have tried to make it like they are 3D, but really it's just you have to take multiple different images, multiple squishes, and it's still not comfortable, still a longer procedure, still not true 3D. So that's really the difference. And if you look at some of the images that we have on our website, also you can see how much clearer it is. There's also the option for contrast. So contrast enhancement, sometimes you get that with a mammogram as well. Really depends on who the physician is and whether or not they think it's worth it to do that. With contrast, with our exam, it's just like I don't even, I'm not a physician, I'm not a radiologist, and I can see what's wrong, in the breast. So it's really, really a powerful tool and, again, more dignified, more comfortable. And that's really what differentiates us from, what's already out there.
I know it, in essence, it is something so simple because he just reimagined the way in which the process was delivered,
Yeah.
but it feels so futuristic in terms of the experience. I
Yes.
think we're absolutely blessed in our age to be able to hopefully see many, many more advancements that make medical procedures that up until now have been really, we'll say, shitty,
Yeah.
to be way more tolerable or at the very least thought of with the patient in mind. So
Yeah. And Sarah,
I
I'll also say, to me, it's a little bit sad that this seems futuristic because it's really like, why wasn't this the original plan? They truly were not thinking of the women, like you said at the beginning. And, I understand back in the day, there were certain things that they seemed like certain aspects of the technology that seemed like the only way to go about it. But it's like, logically speaking, you don't want the compression. The compression actually can block lesions, so it's counterintuitive actually. And the reason they do that is so that they can, some breasts are too big, or there might be implants, which is a whole nother thing we can get into. But there's ways that you have to be able to take a picture, and in a mammogram setting, that's the only way you can do it. But it's like, why didn't anybody think about just laying down? Like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to press things back and move things around and make it uncomfortable, to see the image. So,
yeah,
yeah,
gravity.
futuristic, but logical at the same time.
For sure. And I think it's really important that, one of my questions was, were there any women on the creation of rather the invention, we'll say, of this particular product? Because I thought it might be a little left field for there to be a male inventor that thought so much about a woman's comfort during a procedure like this that happens every minute of every hour of every day
Yeah,
across the world. And it really, again, could make me cry to know that a man who never has to squish his
I
breasts
know.
into a machine thought to think
Yes.
about this because he cares about not only the imagery of women of his race being able to get proper medical health care, but he also knows it has to hurt like hell. And
Yeah.
that it speaks a lot to the company and it speaks a lot to what you're founded on, which is
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes. And our mission and our beliefs. Agreed. For
Yeah.
sure.
Where and when was your FDA PMA approval process all mapped out? Because I could imagine this probably tripped up a few wires for you guys because, as you stated, there are a lot of really big players with deep pockets in this industry.
Yes,
So if
yes.
you're able to speak about just a general purview of what that process was like,
Yeah.
um, I'm
So
sure it was
that
tricky.
was definitely, so that was before my time with the company. But I believe, don't quote me, I think it was 2016, 2017 where we got PMA, we got our FDA clearance to be able to sell this commercially as a diagnostic device. I will say we're still going through the process to have it as a screening device. So what that means is that usually a woman will, like I said before, will have to get a mammogram and then they have subsequent exams afterwards, depending on whether or not anything was found or if it was inconclusive. So we are in the process of making sure that this can be truly the one-stop shop where even women who are going for their first mammogram ever, so hopefully in 2 years when you're going, like hopefully that is the next step for us where like we become a true screening device. Right now, anybody that has dense breasts, family history, there's tons of indications for use. Pain in their breasts, inconclusive mammograms, inconclusive ultrasounds or MRIs, they can come get our device right away. They just need to get a prescription from their physician. So that's where the physician education and educating the industry on the device comes into play. And, also an uphill battle, but we are doing as best we can and, putting as much information out there. Our management team is always happy to talk to physicians, always happy to give a demo. We have a great clinical team that can walk everybody through it. So definitely, there's going back to your original question, we are in the process of our FDA screening clearance, and but we are cleared for diagnostic use in the U.S. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really awesome. And the FDA is like going to war with paperwork, man. So
I
I
do,
am
yeah.
I love so much that you made it through that process, and that brings a lot of hope for any other hoops you have to jump in the future. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
great news to hear.
Yes.
Where and when would, I guess, I know you're not a physician's office, but maybe could you run us through what a typical appointment for scanning would look like for someone coming in to get it done?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, if you're going to your general practitioner and there is a KBCT device nearby, you can talk to your practitioner and say, I want to get this screening or this exam as opposed to a mammogram. They would write a script, and we have these scripts that we can send to any physicians if they're interested. And then they take that to the location that has the KBCT. It's basically like getting any medication. You have a prescription and then you go and receive it. So you set up your appointment, you go to whatever location that is, and it is truly like you change, you get on the device, a button is pressed, you switch over to the other breast, button is pressed, and then you're out. And the images are available right away, depending on the physician and their schedule for reading. But that's truly how easy it is. We just need to make sure that more general practitioners, OBGYNs, are aware that this is an option so that they can start writing those scripts for their patients.
Cool. And I don't want to get into the biopsy part of it too much, but could you just mention basically like if you got the scan, this is an option that's
Yes.
available to you. Although
Yeah.
she's not a physician, she will explain how it works.
Yes, yes. So in a typical mammogram, if something is found, if any lesion is found, you'll typically be set up for another appointment or be taken down down the hall to another room where a biopsy is performed. With the KBCT, it is the device lifts up, the side opens up, there is a bracket that goes on the breast, and it shows you exactly where the lesion was. It is a quick procedure, and like it can be done in the exact same room without the anxiety of like I have to wait to get this done, or is this cancerous? It just happens right there. So it's that's also a benefit for the doctor's office too, because you don't need multiple devices to do these multiple procedures. It all happens on this one device, and in a pretty small room. Also, you don't have to knock down any walls or anything like that. It can take place in the exact same room as a mammogram. So, it's convenient for both the patient and the physician, and it's accurate. And there's so much praise I can give to this device. I know I'm
But
biased because I work for the company, but it
no,
truly is revolutionary.
it really is. And I know it's like, it's not too left field of a topic for me to talk about because I do cover business and personal strategy. And for me, personal health and the strategy of your health is so important.
Yeah.
And I'm rebuking archaic ways of doing medicine. Like,
Yeah.
I will refuse to be a part of that cog in the wheel
No.
anymore. And this was just so exciting of a thing. I literally said to my husband, like, I will go wherever the nearest one of these is when it's my turn. He's like, well, how does it work? And I'm like, they smush
That's the
you.
difference.
And I have very small breasts. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to be a pleasant time for me. Not that it is for anybody, but
Yeah. Yeah.
to know now that, like, I can make it a mini vacation of sorts and I get to walk in and walk out in under 10
Yeah.
minutes is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about here.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. And it's
Yeah.
just the very beginning, which is even cooler. I'm so
Yeah.
glad I'm getting to talk to you at this phase
Yes.
because
Yes.
it's going to skyrocket. It's
It
going to
is.
skyrocket.
And I will say also, one of the things that I love the most about this is that it feels like we're allowing women to take their own health into their own hands. So instead of being like, this is how things are done and this is all you can get, and we just kind of like deal with it, this is another option where it's like women can make the decision that if they don't want a mammogram, or if mammograms haven't worked for them in the past, or if they're truly like very sensitive, this is something that they can choose, and it is up to her to choose that. So I think that's really powerful as well.
Heck yeah. Autonomy over your health and your health decisions is something that seems to be getting more and more available to us
Yes.
as patients
Yeah.
day after day. So it's so cool you guys are in the forefront of this, especially because you are a medical device.
Yes.
A lot of attention goes into the digestibles and the injectables and all the things, but we're really forgetting the lack of innovation that's happened
Yeah.
with physical medical devices, at least over the last 20 years. You go into
Yeah.
a hospital, you're sitting on the same medical bed that was invented 30 years ago and probably purchased 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, you're right. Yep.
there's so much room for innovation and growth. What were there plans to be an industry disruptor with this technology, or was Doctor simply focusing on wanting to make this easier for women that do primarily have a historical difficult time with a mammogram?
I mean, I can't speak for him, but I would say from his perspective, likely he was like, this can help a lot, but also this is so new and this is definitely going to disrupt the industry. There's no way it can't, and we are actually the only ones that are commercially available right now. There are a few other companies out there that are trying to like get their clearances and are several years behind us, but we are truly the only ones that are sold. So that is disruption like at its finest. And there's the benefits and the hardships of being the first to market, but at the same time I think like that makes it feel like we are truly the ones at the forefront of this new technology that will help women. And it's very, very cool experience to be a part of.
Oh, man, I think just the simple fact that you're making something easier. Your company was based off of a pain point, and
Yeah.
we all know in marketing that's like the secret sauce.
Yeah,
Like,
that is the secret sauce.
how much can I embed your pain problems and then tell you about them in a way that
Yes,
you think I know better than you? But
exactly.
I do really love just there's the ease of it, but for any woman that's ever had to have a mammogram done before, they know about all of the negatives, all of the inconclusives. So for you to also be simultaneously providing this beautiful, true 3D imaging, could
Yeah.
you discuss a little bit about the previous 3D imaging and your true? I know you explained how it works, but I did find that to be a little confusing because they had stated there was some other, but it seems to not be 3D at all.
Yeah, so I think if you look at a mammogram, there's only so much 3D that they can do with the compression of the breast. It's just not possible really. So in newer terms, in newer mammograms, GEs and Hologics of the world that are putting out these 3D mammograms. It's just that they're taking like a few different compression images, whereas ours puts thousands of images together to make one true 3D image. So that's like, you'll see it in the difference of what a physician sees on a mammogram versus KBCT. And like also another benefit of how our imaging works is for physicians that are so used to mammograms, you still get those images, you still get the 2D images that they're so used to reading. But the benefit is that you also, on top of that, get the true 3D image, so you can see exactly where it is. And I will also say that like missed lesions or cancers that seem to come back, in a lot of cases is actually because they didn't see the original like calcifications or tiny little lesions that were there because of either compression or an implant, or they were somehow obscured. It's not really that your cancer is coming back, it's that it was never caught completely, and that's really scary actually. So
Oh, there we go. Okay,
yeah.
okay. Okay, that makes a lot more sense because I was with the misdiagnosis, you think like it's such a small, I mean, mine are small, but I'm sure
Yeah.
there are women with lots more territory to just go through. But, considering the whole size of your body, this is a very small portion, and you would imagine that it would be quite easy to see all of it. Not to state that the KBCT is going to find anything and everything, although it does have really beautiful
Yeah.
capabilities. We don't want to put out any weird legalities there. But um, the I think the overall, I'll say this. My father had cancer for 20 years. Throughout that 20-year process, he had been scanned thousands of times all over his entire body, and more often than not, things were missed than were found. And then they
Yeah.
would be found later in that same spot, and we're like, what the heck? We were just here 3 months ago. You said
Yeah.
everything was great. And it always came down to the doctor stating that the imaging was difficult to read, and they're
Yeah.
doing their best.
Or they're
The
too
human
small.
error.
Yep, there is human error involved, and I respect radiologists and physicians generally so much because their job is not easy and there's a lot of liability. But we just want to make it easier for them to be able to see what's there, and nothing hidden, nothing too small to be able to see that might become a problem later on where it's a little bit too late. So really, the imaging that we provide is to answer all of those issues where it's like nothing hidden, nothing too small, and and I think that's the benefit for the physician, is that now they can provide true imaging for their patients and make sure that their patient is completely healthy when they leave the office.
Yeah, gosh, you guys are doing God's work. It's so beautiful. Ooh, implants. Let's talk about implants because my brain could not wrap around a doctor possibly being able to figure out everything happening in there. Also, there's a lot going on, a lot of squishing
Yeah,
and moving things around.
yeah,
I would imagine the KBCT literally obliterates any of that being an issue at all.
yes.
Gravity, right? It's just
It
going to get in there.
does. And
Okay.
we've heard from women with implants also, again, who have had horror stories where, the mammogram compresses it and it pops. You can have ruptured, and I don't want to say like that's a super common thing, but it is a
No, but
possibility, and that's not a
yeah,
possibility with KBCT.
yeah.
The way that it works in a mammogram when you have an implant is that they have to basically push the implant back so that they can get the image of like anything that's around it. And that's that displacement of the, like, just imagine something inside you that has to
Fascia?
be pushed back so that they can get an image of anything around it. Again, like there's going to be things that are hidden. There's only so much you can do with a mammogram when it comes to that, and it's painful and it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine ever getting implants for that reason, honestly. But
Yeah.
with the KBCT, not an issue. You lay down flat, same exact 360-degree image. If the breasts are a lot larger, we have an option for that also. So there really isn't anything preventing a woman from getting a great image of their breast, regardless of whether it's stents or implants, and it will still be comfortable and they won't have to push their implant back. It won't get ruptured. So it's a really good option for women with implants, definitely.
And I would imagine their, numbers have increased over the last 20 years of women that do have implants, and they are reaching a certain age now. So
Yeah.
this is really just the timing of all of this is so impeccable. I was in preparing for this interview, I remembered a joke that I had heard. I cannot remember the comedian's name. She was a female. She said, "Guys, you know that if testicles got mammograms, they would have figured out a different way to do this day one of that machine being put on the
Exactly.
hospital."
Exactly. Yep.
So
It's
I'm so
true.
thankful to Dr. Ning that it's our turn because holy moly, the barbarian act of going to get a mammogram.
Yeah.
Let's be so thankful that that is absolutely now something of the past because you guys exist and you're going to make sure that it is something that you have the choice to not do,
Yes.
which is
Yes. That is
beautiful.
the goal. That's the goal.
So I'm going to switch this up a little bit here. My last question to all of my guests is always a particular question. So I'm going to ask you as you can answer it as an individual, as your position in the company, whatever feels more appropriate for you. But Naomi, how do you make your life rich?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think for me, it's both partly an individual thing and being part of this company. I have felt so much fulfillment of being part of a company that helps women, truly, and never want that to change. I will always advocate for women's health and for better breast imaging in this case. And my life feels so rich for that reason, and I'm so happy to be a part of it, and so happy to talk to you and be able to tell your listeners about this. And if anybody wants to be an advocate, please feel free to reach out. We have so many documents and collateral that we can share. We have cute pins that you can wear. We have everything, and I just want to make it an easier process for women. And when you and I are at the age when we get our mammograms, hopefully we won't have to get that, and KBCT will be everywhere. So that's the goal.
Yes. I love that. Naomi, thank you so much. That's so beautiful. And I'm just thankful that you are with them and that this is something that's real and that actual women are able to use right now.
Yes.
Guys, if you're interested, I'm going to leave the links in the show notes. If you'd like to become an ambassador, you can click on that link. And then please, please, please reach out to your doctors, your hospitals. It takes a 5-second conversation with someone. Most times, doctors don't want to put you in peril or make you feel uncomfortable. They just don't have time to invent these machines while also being doctors. So they may not know that it exists, that the KBCT exists, and you could be the hero that brings it to your community. So please click some links, send them over in a quick email to your doctor's office or your local hospital. It takes seconds, but you could really change and make an impact in your community for women and for yourself because you're going to have to get one day too. Yami, thank you so much. This was a pleasure. I'm so thankful for your time, and please thank Dr. Ning for this invention. And I can't wait to watch and see where you guys grow to. I'll be stalking you for sure. So don't worry.
Keep an eye out. We'll keep in contact. I'll make sure I'll let you know when all of our new installations are coming. So
Oh,
I'm
thank
so
you.
happy to be here and to
Yay.
talk to you guys about this.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much, Naomi.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.